2, 3.
Hi, everyone.
Hello,
Welcome.
everyone. Hi, Heleniq. How are you?
Hi, I'm so glad to be here again with you, Gemma. I'm really good. Thanks very much. How about you? How are you doing?
I'm really good, thank you. Really good. We have sun in the Netherlands, so this is a happy day.
Yes, whenever the
Yes.
sun is out. So we also had this little moment last week where we couldn't connect, and I just wanted
Oh,
to let
yes.
everybody know I'm so glad to be here again with you today, and look forward to what we're going to talk about today.
Yeah, okay, perfect. Yeah, these things happen sometimes. The connection or something can happen, so no problem. So we can
Yeah.
continue today. So we're going
Yes.
to talk with Heleniq, and she's going to share her knowledge about public speaking today because it's a subject really, really important that we need to take into account. And more now, every day that we have to connect on video calls and to be online and talking to people more and more. So it's a really interesting topic, and Eleni knows about it. So thank you, Eleni, for telling us. And let's start. So with what I was telling about video calls, they are coming really common those days. So what do you think is essential for us to have into account? What do we need to have?
I think we all are now in a situation where we have to present ourselves to the world through a limited format like a technology type application or platform or some kind of space where people can really only see us in what we present to them from the chest up, let's say. So they just see our face, our expressions, they see how we look, how we appear in terms of how we dress, but they don't see us moving, they don't see us interacting with other people, they don't see us looking down on our phones and organizing different things. So they don't see us in action. They see us more
True.
just as we're presenting. So, of course, now we have a kind of impression to make in a limited way. And so, of course, public speaking and presentation become very important um, sort of fast kind of impressions that really can leave somebody feeling that they trust you or they don't very quickly. They're not going to have a lot of opportunity to investigate beyond what you're showing them. Unless they go and check your website or they go and see you in some videos, they really just see you there and then. And so it becomes quite important to define for yourself how you want to use that opportunity. And of course, some people take it much more seriously and they use this opportunity to actually speak to people about something very specific and they really want to change people's perspectives or they want to maybe sell a product or they want to change someone's opinion or convert into a sale. So there's many different reasons why speaking to people becomes way more important now in this limited way than it was before. You don't have all these other ways that you can interact with them. You just have this moment where they meet you online. So I think for any business, for any person, even just introducing yourself to a networking meeting or even having a conversation with your children's teacher, anything in life requires us to present ourselves well and to speak well. Now in the technology space, it's more limited. And of course, if you want to use it for very specific reasons, you really need to improve what you're doing with public speaking and how you're
Yes.
presenting. Yeah.
Yeah, it's really important. And nowadays, it's really, really important. And when we're talking or presenting ourselves online, what are the
Mhm.
things that we shouldn't do? The no's.
Yeah, very good, very, very good question. So, when you're online, of course, we know health and well being is so important. We started all our talks on that life work balance. And of course, now, one thing I want to suggest is that you begin to apply all of that as you work online. So, one thing I want to say to you is about hydration. So, you need to be hydrating yourself. But then, of course, if you're on a presentation or you're talking or you're on a summit or you're training people or you're doing a speech, try to make a bit more of a conscious decision about what you'll be using to drink from, because that says something about you. So you don't want to be, chugging back a whole bottled water kind of impression when you're online. That's something I don't think you should do. Rather have a nice transparent glass, have a jug next to it where you can pour into it and be regularly hydrating, very important. So you don't want to be showing yourself too casual. That's one thing. That's what all of that was to explain. Another thing that's important to avoid is interruptions. I know they are sometimes necessary, But you want to try and manage your space so that you don't have doors banging or dogs barking or people walking behind you or people walking through the space. It's not just that it's interrupting and distracting. It also sends the impression that you don't manage your space properly, and that sends a subliminal message that you're not serious enough about that person. Another thing that I would like to recommend people manage or take care of when you're online is really the amount of personal information you're sharing and the way that you're sharing it. I actually train a lot of public speakers in this at a deeper level, because you need to be relating to people in a chatty type casual way, of course, at times, to create rapport and comfortability and feel like you're approachable in a friendly space. But at the same time, you don't want to overshare. And this tends to happen, especially now when people are in a lot of struggle with lockdown and COVID. Sometimes they are giving information that is just enough for you to feel emotionally connected. But there's often times where people are actually going into a little bit more that unsettles the space. So you need to be a bit more aware of what you are sharing and make sure that you're not creating something uncomfortable for the person listening. And the way I recommend that is that you talk then about, in the beginning, a little bit of where you are, how you're feeling, what's been going on. But be mindful that you don't go on too much about it. And then don't, focus in on that again and make a big drama out of something. So manage how much you're sharing. And one way to remember that is to share from the scar and not from the wound. So if you're still feeling really pained about something, it's best not to share it at that level. Wait until you've worked it through a little bit. Like maybe one of your female members are very sick and it's really bothering you, it's really hurting you. Better to be more professional about that when you're presenting or speaking. It's not inauthentic. It's called managing your emotion. And then when you're a bit more over it, you can share that with somebody, because it will create that kind of emotional connection and make you be more real and authentic to others, but not if you're still in pain over it.
Okay, that's
So those
really
are
important.
three
Sorry.
things. Yeah. So
Yeah, this.
make sure what you're using is quite nice to use and it looks good. It looks presentable, no distractions, and manage how much you're sharing.
Yeah, that's important. And any other tips that you can share with us to improve our presentation skills?
Well, I wanted to go a little bit more into also how we can use this 5-step plan. They're all letters that start with words that start with the letter A, that help us understand how we can be actually memorable, and we can be speakers or presenters that have something unique and special to offer people if you want to take it up a notch. In other words, if you want to upgrade or up level your speaking, I want to recommend these 5 things to think about. And they are quite general. You can use them for many areas of your life, but certainly in presentations and public speaking, you are going to see ways of using these qualities and developing these qualities as really the defining qualities that make you unforgettable as a speaker. And the first one is audacious. So if you're going to present to a group of people, you do need to be a bit bold about it. Anyone who's about to present their ideas or their opinion, they are audacious in the very sense of it. You and I, Gemma, we're sitting here thinking we've actually got something to share with people. So in a way, it's confidence, but it's also bold, isn't it? It's sort of putting yourself out there and saying, look, I really want to help you, or I think I have something of value. And you do have to step into that power, especially if you're going to be a memorable speaker. And you don't do it out of arrogance, you do it out of courage. That's the difference, right?
Yes.
Audacious. Second one, it's really important, is authenticity. People more now than ever want to deal with true, relatable, friendly, and honest people. We want genuine interactions. We want to connect more than anything else. We need connection with other people. And you really cannot connect with someone if you're not being real. So it's not enough to just bring the statistics or talk very professionally and bring yourself onto the platform as someone who knows everything, or be very cold sometimes, or in some cultures it's more acceptable than others where you're just quite crisp and clean and you just present. People need a little bit more than that. They need to see who you are. They need to see the person. They need to know you're genuine. They need to relate to you. That's very important. That's why being a bit vulnerable also really helps. The other thing is to really have a sense of anticipation. So when you're online and you're watching somebody, you've got to be feeling a little bit, anticipating what they need and how much time there still is available. You've got to be anticipating the situation What does this client really understand from what you're saying to them? Maybe you ask very specific questions that can help clear that up. But anticipation also means to create a bit of suspense. And it's a very
Hmm.
special skill, like really great
Yes.
speakers and presenters, they are entertaining to listen to. They do what I just did, maybe, where they pace the speaking and they wait for those moments where they want to drop something really powerful and they create the suspense. Like if
Hmm.
I was to tell you about something that happened to me yesterday that taught me something about what I want to do for the rest of my life, that's a very touching thing for me to share with you. So if I was to
Hmm.
share that and tell you who I met and how I got to that insight, I want to create a moment of anticipation for the person listening. This is very powerful. So if you
Yes.
know you present something over and over and over again, try and find what can you do to it that's really different each time that would create a bit of suspense, a bit of excitement for people listening to you. So it doesn't become this boring, monotone, technological kind of programming information, or maybe it's like a procedure that you keep running. Bring in some of your personality, but also the sense of anticipation and suspense that you can then have in the conversation, in the presentation, that makes your client or your customer or your person on the other side of the screen interested to listen to you speak. Otherwise, you're just doing it
Yes.
mechanically, and that there's nothing more boring than that. Another thing that's so important is awareness. So we've spoken already about that a little bit in anticipating people, but it's really quite clear that a lot of us are not very aware,
Hmm.
actually, of ourselves or of other people. So when you are a speaker or you're presenting your work or yourself online, I've been around speakers because I work, with many global female leaders
Hmm.
and many other professional people who train on leadership. So you could say they're quite highly professional people, high performing people, and some of them are very emotionally intelligent. So it's quite amazing to watch them really ask the questions about the group. Who am
Hmm.
I speaking
Yes.
to? What are the needs of these people? How are you relating to what I'm saying? They have regular times where they stop and they do what's called a kind of vibe check. They check the vibration of the
It's
group. They check
important.
the vibes. Yeah, like I'm checking the vibes with you. Are you still smiling at me? Are you like getting a little irritated with time? Are you like frowning? Are you checking your paper? Are you a bit distracted? That's all kind of situational awareness. And that comes from being willing to be aware yourself, of the
Hmm.
space. How much am I talking? How much am I listening? How much am I sharing? Am I sharing too much? Is that person maybe asking a question I can't really manage right now? And do I have to manage it another way? Am I being a bit rude in the way I just cut them off? Can
Hmm.
I manage it better? These are the kinds of things that we need to be mindful of on the level of awareness. And some of us take time to develop that skill. The last one
Hmm.
is to be astounding. Now, if you want to be an amazing speaker, or you really want to be memorable, or you want to really add value at the highest level, you do have to bring something that no one brings. And
True.
that's the level of being astounding. Now, we're not all going to hit that level. We're not all going to manage every single time, but certainly if you want to become really professional and well known and, let's say, accomplished, masterful in what you do, you will need to think on a career level, what do I bring that is on that level of astounding? Otherwise, they could just hire maybe another programmer or another designer or
Hmm.
another marketeer or another public speaker or another trainer to do the same thing. But if I know that one person has something astounding that they do, maybe it's that they really tune into the group. Maybe it's that they share something so intimate that is so comfortable for me to listen to because it has a higher meaning or a deeper purpose. And I think I can learn from this person at a deeper level from what
Hmm.
the level is that they're teaching. Then I want to choose that person. So if you really want a career that's going to be sustainable in terms of presenting and offering your work at a higher level, you need to look at what is it about you that's original, unique, and yes, how do you bring it into your conversation that is slightly or totally astounding. So those are the 5 tips I have for people today: is being audacious, being authentic, being aware, and also anticipating the audience, being able to really remember this set of 5 things that's going to make your speaking memorable.
Yeah, that's true. And when I think about this kind of five things that you say, there come
Yeah,
speakers to my mind that is true that you listen to them and then sometimes they finish and it's like, Oh, they finish already because you are so engaged and you are so enjoying what they are saying. The time flies.
Yeah, exactly. You kind of take the boredom out of listening to someone, and there's so much content, Gemma. I mean, we
Yes.
keep saying this online. Now we are, full of videos, full of information that's in a box. So you have
Hmm.
to have this special quality that makes what you do, different enough
Hmm.
for people to really be listening. Otherwise, they switch off, and that's happening
True.
regularly, that we switch off because it's just
Yeah, that's
more
true.
information. Yeah, so this is really helpful for people who want to take that to another level.
Yeah, and as you said before, you are training a lot of people to be public speaker. What
Yeah.
do you think? What makes a person a great speaker?
These 5 points I spoke about now are really
Hmm.
useful to evaluate a speaker and to know if they have the qualities and they are of the caliber of the level of delivery that can take them to be great as a speaker. And so, one thing that I would say above all of that is that they know how to deliver the speaking so that it actually shares with the audience something very unique
Hmm.
about either their career direction or the insights they have in their career. So if they've studied gynecology, for example, and they are presenting on hormonal imbalance as an example, and they have a way of doing the research and explaining, the way that a lot of this is misunderstood by the medical profession because, hormonal imbalance is something that
Hmm.
can show up as depression, it can show up as another autoimmune disease. If this person has such a unique way of collecting the data,
Hmm.
and they actually then can take it to another level of saying we live in a time where we have what's called one of the biggest epidemics in female health that we've ever had, and it's called hormonal imbalance. And they
Yes.
can present all of this in a very powerful way. There's something very unique about that gynecologist. She's doing the same thing that everybody does, but she's learned to take her knowledge and information and pivot it just slightly so that she simplifies something very profound
Oh, that's good.
and delivers a very powerful message. And I call that something I developed a formula for, the UQMI. So what is your UQMI? As in IQ, you've got now EQ, and now with me you hear a new one, it's UQ. So your unique intelligence. And everybody has it. You've
Yes.
studied architecture, or you've studied programming, or you've studied digital marketing. And you have very specific intelligence around how that body of knowledge works for clients, for companies, for businesses. And you know that you have to find a unique edge. It's not
Hmm.
enough to just go and talk anymore about digital marketing. You've got to have a simplified
True.
message that makes me catch what you're saying in a simplified way. And so you catch my attention when you deliver it to me. That's what makes a really unique and powerful speaker. And these are the kind of people that begin to shift the paradigm. They are thought leaders. They are people that can totally direct people to think in a new way. So now I'm not thinking anymore about my symptoms as depression. I'm thinking, oh, it could be hormone imbalance if I feel really
Hmm.
sad a lot as a woman and I've listened to that gynecologist. Or I go to that digital marketing presentation and that guy tells me automation is the key. And let me tell you how I discovered that. And I remember
Hmm.
that for the rest of my business scaling
True.
journey, then I know that person's somebody I want to follow because he's managed to summarize it. She's managed to summarize it in a way that catches my attention. And I think, wow, that's someone who's actually quite able to shift the paradigm of thinking. It's not about doing the hard work now. Now it's about using tech to get that final solution.
Yeah, that's really important. And yeah, you need to connect with the people and to make it easy for you. And there is, I
Exactly.
think there is a space for everyone because what is easy for me, maybe it's difficult for other person, and other speaker is easy for other one. So everyone can bring the good thing. Oh, there is a sound.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I think it's really right to say there's a space for everyone. So we don't all have to be at that level where
Hmm.
we've got our special genius and we speak to everyone. Sometimes what we're doing is at another level and we can present and share our ideas in a very practical way. But if
Hmm.
you want to be a great speaker, you will need to take that
Yes.
skill that you have, that knowledge,
Yes.
and take it to that new, new place where you're helping people evolve their way of thinking
True.
about things. But yeah, there's a space for a lot of people to really shine in many different ways.
Yeah. And now I would like you to tell me about your 12 steps strategy and where people can
Oh,
find it because when I hear about it, it was really interesting.
yes, I think this strategy is a very powerful way for people to understand one of the most important things about being a speaker is to actually use your nerves, your adrenaline in a positive way, right? And if you find a way to do that, you will see that you actually can use this nervous system that gets triggered when you know you're going to be in front of a lot of people in a very specific way. And it actually then teaches you step by step how to get in front of the audience and present your work. So you have to be able to find this strategy and practice it. And I actually have a PDF if people want to actually, maybe we
Oh,
can
that's
find a
good.
way, Gemma, to actually send this to people
Yeah,
and
we
to
can
give
share
them a
it maybe in
chance.
the under the video in YouTube. Maybe we can put it
Yeah,
in the comment. If you
sure.
have
I'll,
a link that we can share,
yeah,
that would be nice.
I'll find a way to be able to make that available to people. It's like a PDF that gives us a very nice detailed step-by-step process
Oh,
because
that's great.
it starts with an S, and it's something I developed to really help people figure out a way to be very present in the body. Because one of the most problematic things that we encounter when we are public speakers or when we step up to the podium,
Hmm.
right now we're not stepping up to any podium, but
Yeah.
when we come into a discussion with people online, we might feel very nervous. So the very important thing is to begin to be very conscious as you're moving. And as you get up to the the screen, or let's say you've just been clicked to actually have clicked, I mean, like someone's invited you to
Hmm.
now speak and you're ready and it's your moment, you have to do like a lot of scanning of your body. And you've got to begin to think about whether you um, are able to manage your nerves. And so this 12-step procedure is something I'll share in the PDF, and we
Oh,
can
that's good.
actually then give people the chance to go through it step by step. But it's basically like actually being able to sense the room. One of the steps is actually being
Hmm.
able to tune into the whole space around you and to really feel a connection with the audience before you even open your mouth. So,
Hmm.
as you're stepping up to the podium, you're very self aware of your body. You feel every step as you take every step and you get into what we call present time awareness. Then you begin to stand at the podium and you stand for a moment. You don't just immediately start speaking. So, if you're in a screen, you wait a few minutes before you present and you stand, in other words, sense your body. Then you sense the audience. Maybe you can really look at everybody who's on the call, smile at people,
Hmm.
go and click on your Zoom box so that you see how many people are there, how they look to you, how they're feeling, get a feeling. And then you create this suspense, another step. And as you create the suspense, you are then very present. And again, that anticipation is in this moment, and people are waiting for you to actually address them. Then you've got to go into a very specific kind of delivery of what is for you really important. So you will have some structure that you've already planned in your speech or what you're about to say. You'll have some notes, things that you've decided you want to say. And then you need to be telling a story. This is one of the most important steps. And a story can be on a practical level, the ABC of what you're
Hmm.
teaching or the ABC of what you're sharing. And in some cases, it's literally an ABC story because there's nothing more powerful than sharing your content or your message in the form of a story. Stories have a very
Hmm.
powerful way of
True.
activating the narrative in the brain. I know you work with this so much, Gemma, so you
Yeah.
know exactly, and people can actually reach out to you, anyone listening, to actually do that in your marketing. So as a speaker, same thing. You want to be able to present the information as often as you can in the form of storylines because the brain remembers it better. There's a whole neuroscientific process going on for memory, and it's also making sense of strange information in a way that the brain is used to. You have
Hmm.
symbols, archetypes, many ways that you can reference, and it becomes a very interesting way for people to absorb higher levels of information. And then the
Hmm.
12-step process actually also comes down into being able to have a very strong closure in your speech, and being able to leave people with a sense of importance and purpose in what you've shared. So you have this document from me as a gift. And if you want to, jump on a 20-minute discovery with me and talk about your desires to be a public speaker, or maybe even take it up a notch, maybe you are speaking already and you want to be shifting the paradigm, that's something I'm really expert and always excited to do. And the 12 steps will really help you be very conscious and very calm as a speaker. Happily, I'll share it with the group.
Yeah, that's really great. Thank you, Heleniq. Maybe you can do the document and put your email in the document or your LinkedIn profile,
Yes,
and then the people can read the document, practice, and if they feel aligned, they can contact you. That would be great
fantastic.
for you and for
Yeah.
them. So it's really nice.
Exactly, exactly. And I recommend that they also apply it now for the screen, because this was done for actual podium speaking, but test it out with your calls that you have in the next week. Try
Hmm.
and practice one or two or three steps, even. And if you like,
Hmm.
practice if you have a presentation to do, all 12 steps, because they're very practical. And the big chunk of planning your speech, the whole story you're telling, is separate to this. This is more like your body, mind, kind of meditation,
Hmm.
you could say, for speaking. And this will really help you manage the space much better. And then we can talk about, any problems or questions you have on a call, if you like. And I look forward to hearing people's feedback. Yeah.
Ah, that's great, Heleniq. Thank you very much. It was really nice to have you here again.
Thank you
And
so
well,
much,
see
Gemma.
you next week. We will be talking about how to choose the right communication channels. It's also really
Excellent.
important to communicate perfect.
Excellent. I'm looking so forward to hearing more about that, because I think it's one of the biggest overwhelming things with all the
Yeah,
online
I know.
content. So I look forward to what you're going to be sharing with people. Thanks, everybody, for
Okay,
listening.
thank you. Thank you,
Thanks, Gemma.
everyone. See you next week.
Bye.
Bye.